that's a little bit better, isn't it? Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to the new setup. I have no idea how it works, but look, I can change all of my different lighting colors. That's a nice one. Shall we use that one? Tom's wearing blue and I've got blue lighting, so I think we'll go with this one.
Perfect.
This is nice. Right, okay, so guys, welcome back to the next episode of Don't Fear the Weight podcast with me, your tiny titan host, as per usual, Vicky Masita. And today in the blue hot seat, I have got, a fellow Strom athlete, because, you know,
Yeah.
Sponsor Strom athlete, don't you know? Oh, wait for the plug. Here it comes.
Move the dog out.
Moving the dog out. I thought you were going to just say, oh, here's my Strom product. And just like...
No, they're all over there somewhere, but no, she's moving some balloons and the dog around. So yeah.
Amazing. I love it. So Mr. Tom Haines, you are on the podcast today. Hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm good. Just, like we said, lots of work to do, but very busy season for me because of the competitions coming up. So with all of the PCA ones, FitX ones, Two Bros, got Arnold's, it's then the finals for all of them has been hectic so far.
It's a lot of traveling around, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, lots of driving, but it's good though. It's cool. It's all sound. It's just part and parcel of it. Yeah.
We love it, don't we? That's exactly what it is. Right, so for people who have been living under a rock in the bodybuilding industry, why don't you just give us a little bit of an intro and a background about you and what you're all about and why you are Mr. Tom Haines, sponsored athlete.
No worries. So I have been in bodybuilding for about since I was about 14, 15, I've been sort of training. I was on the forums for a while, being an annoying pain in the ass teenager, asking all of the silly questions. That was before Facebook and Instagram were around really. Facebook had just sort of started, but there weren't a lot of bodybuilders talking about a lot of stuff on there. So I went on forums to learn about bodybuilding. I went to go learn about everything from dieting. First it was like the bodybuilding.com ones, and then it was like the more sort of serious hardcore ones. I didn't really like a lot of the UK ones. They were okay. There was like UK Muscle and T Muscle and all that, but I went on Professional Muscle a lot, and there was a lot of pros on there and people like that, and used to speak to all of them. That was kind of cool. And then went from there. And basically, I was in my own bodybuilding sort of at home. I was doing bits and bobs in my garage and just training and lifting with what I had there. My mum and dad's garage. I was just using a setup that they had. My dad nicked my dad's weights and started using them. I was swimming and doing karate and stuff at the time, and then eventually got into my bodybuilding more seriously. Went and because I was just trying to get stronger for like sport for swimming and for karate, because I was doing that. Then the karate faded out and I was just trying to get stronger for swimming because I used to do sprint swimming, like 50 or 100 meters. Do you know Adam Peaty, who swam, the British gold medalist? And I used to train with him. I used to train with him.
Cool.
So I used to train with him. So did a bit of that, and then he went on to bigger and better things, and I left him behind and whatever. But then from there, got into bodybuilding. Did my first show at 18 years old. Did NABA. Did it as a natural in NABA, which was fucking stupid. Got absolutely destroyed in the junior class. Came back 2 years later whilst at university, and I did it again, won that. That was cool. NABA Midlands, when NABA was still a federation. And then from there, competed a few times over. Started getting into helping my mates out a little bit with like diet plans and programs and stuff like that, because they wanted a bit of help, and I was just pretty good with it at that time, and had obviously done a few shows and done okay. So just learned from my own stupid mistakes and just picked up bits and bobs of info from that. Like some of the stuff that I do now, I still attribute to just learning what was going to work and what wasn't going to work, like, and what I did very, very wrong back then. Then going from there, went to compete a few times over, did PCA, did one PCA show, done a few other ones here and there. But yeah, no, just competing for me, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed being competitive and all that, but I was never going to be amazing. My genetics aren't great, my structure isn't great. I know that, I'm cool with that. I couldn't really give a fuck. Like I can get big very pretty easily because I can put the food down and train heavy, train hard, and I know what you need to do. But I like dialing it in for condition as well for clients. That's what my specialty is. I'm pretty good with that now. It just over time, really, like I built up, like I definitely got laughed at when I was 19, 20 years old, saying, oh, I'm going to coach people. A lot of the older dudes in the, back then, because back then in the UK, there was only like 6-7 coaches, like that was it.
Sure.
And now obviously it's a plethora, but it's become much more saturated now. But back then they were like, you're not a fucking coach, you've never won anything, you've never done all this. And I'm like, no, but I'm gonna and I'm gonna be better than all of you. And now I am, because they're shite. they're like obsolete old fucks, like they just haven't got a clue what they're doing now. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's just taken quite a while to get here, and you see a lot of these coaches expecting to get to like a higher level, like competing like British finalists and pros and shit and all of that, and expecting some guru or someone to help them, like some business mentor to help them get there. It's just a lot more than that. It's time and effort and dedication, getting up at 6, going to bed at 10, never getting off your laptop or your phone, and putting a lot of sacrifice into actually being a coach, because it's not just an athlete thing that we have to put the time and effort in. It's time and effort into actually your craft as a nutritional advisor, and learning about supplements and PEDs and training, and just staying up to date with everything relevant. It's a lot of work in that. Yeah,
definitely, absolutely. I'm going to actually focus in a little bit more on that a little bit later on. But what I'm really interested in knowing more so about how you developed yourself as an individual and as a coach was the mistakes that you made in the past. So let's actually go through some of the mistakes that you actually said were fucking stupid in your own words.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Okay, so firstly, tanning. Like, if you like, people underestimate that, like, so much, like how much it can change your look on stage, and it's so underdone. People just like, oh, I'll just get like the pro tan done from the guys that do it. And yeah, that might be sound a lot of the time, but have you done your skin prep? Have you scrubbed your skin to oblivion so that there's no dead skin sitting there, so it's not going to look all patchy and shit and weird on stage? Have you been tanning previously so that you have a base layer to go on it? Have you been using sunbeds? Have you been using even red light therapy or any of that sort of stuff, so that you haven't got blotchy acne or anything like that if you're taking steroids and getting that as a side effect? Have you been doing, making sure that that's not going to be present on stage? When you clip your hair down, have you been making sure that you use a clipper first, then going over it with a razor or like a one blade? Have you been doing that properly, rather than just going straight to a razor and leaving yourself with all blotchy rashes and stuff that means that the tan's going to go on funny? All of these things that people do going into it. I don't just say to the clients, unless they're advanced, I don't go to them, just whack the tan on. I'll give them an understanding, like a first timer. I'll explain what to do with skin prep, all of that. Like, is a certain federation going to favor you, and a certain judging panel going to favor you using Dream Tan under a certain light? If you're a male, will it look good if you apply it properly? Have you got a ton of tattoos that you need to cover up? All of these I haven't, but like, if clients have, like all this shit is learn from previous mistakes I've seen happen, and I pick up on little shit that I've seen on stage. I must have been to like 100 bodybuilding shows. Like, I pick up on all of that stuff that I see on stage. Okay, so for example, one thing I told Sasan the other day when he was asking me about it, funny enough, was like tanning and stuff for PCA shows. So the Birmingham show at the town hall, it's really, really, really strong, bright lighting on quite a pale looking stage. So if you go on there, even the slightest bit underdone with your tan and just gone for a paler look, it's going to look shit. Yeah. You need to go on darker. And if you can use a Dream Tan red bronze and go dark with that, but not overdo it, but like that on top of a 2-layer base coat of tan, pro tan, that's going to look really good. Like, that will look better than just sticking with a normal pro tan. So, because you're going to be dark enough that it's going to work. So even that is a mistake that I've seen people make before, and it's probably cost them 1 or 2 placements.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things. I absolutely love Dream Tan. It goes on very nice. It's applied really beautifully. It comes off really nicely, so you're not walking around in all these patches like for absolute fucking weeks. But a lot of federations have banned it as well, haven't they? Because people.
Well, but that's only political. That's political. That's because the other feds the other things pay them to use theirs. So you can't use Dream Tan. You're like, Two Bros don't like it as such. That's more of a judging thing. But if feds ban it, it's usually just because like they've had a fallout with the people who run Dream Tan.
Well, there is that. There's also a lot of etiquette, though, isn't it? Because it's so easily transferable.
And it gets everywhere. Like I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Like, but if PCA allow it, FitX allow it, NABA love it. But they're not really around anymore. It's just one of those, I've seen someone turn pro in IFBB wearing Dream Tan, so
exactly, it can't be that bad, can it? I suppose on the subject of like tanning and things like that, you can talk about etiquette, because people are going to be staying in hotels. They're going to be backstage at all of these venues. And obviously, as being part of FitX the way that we are, it's one of those things and fundamental things that we want to tell people and actually say, do you know what? You do need to maintain that etiquette and just have a bit more respect for the venues that you do have. So if
if you're smudging everywhere, at least try and clear it up, or just let someone know that it's there.
Because you will definitely have fingers pointed at you, and you could potentially get banned from competing in federations. I have seen that previously. With the etiquette side of things. So tan, that's one good thing about it. Now,
so mistakes, and you were asking about. I mean, that's one of the big ones. But like, there's loads of stuff. There's plenty. But I think I probably wouldn't really remember a ton of them now. But yeah, it's definitely stuff that just sort of sticks with you going forward.
For sure. What about trunks and bikinis? I want to turn this into a bit more of a funny one, because we do see trunks.
All the time. Firstly, don't wear them fucking back to front.
Yes, that is not a very good idea.
Seen that done before. Very funny. Yeah. Bikinis, ladies. I'm very sorry to be, this is harsh, but homemade ones just aren't going to cut it. If you're going to have to spend the 300, 400 quid on it, that it is, it's a fortune. I'm sorry, but it's just the way that bodybuilding is and the way that it is. When I get my buy a pair of trunks for a show, it cost me 35 quid, and then I buy a pot of Pro Tan and a pot of Dream Tan, and jobs are good. And for you guys, unfortunately, hair, makeup, bikinis, whatever, it's just an absolute massive expense, and unfortunately it always will be. Homemade shit just looks tacky on stage. It just
totally.
It just does. It's so bad. And then going from there,
proper fit as well.
Proper fit, proper style for the federation that you're doing, so that you can move around properly on stage. If you're doing a figure class, make sure that you can move in it properly. Bikini, not too bad, because you can just sort of stand there a little bit more with your poses. It's not as flow. But if you're doing a routine and you're fucking doing flips and shit in it, please, for God's sake, do not flash everyone with your boobs.
Yeah,
it's not a great look.
It happens a lot. I remember once, right, when I was competing back in 2015, my bikini snapped as I was doing my routine, and I literally had to finish off the last 20 seconds of my routine holding on to the hip band as I was doing it, and thankfully it was on my good side, so I managed to flex my bicep and flex my shoulder a little bit more, so it was okay. But yeah, do make sure that it is properly made. I mean, this one unfortunately was just a clasp that kind of went, but yeah, do make sure that it's properly made, get the right fit and the right one for your class. Figure suits are not the same as bikini suits. You do have to get the correct ones, and if you are going to wear heels like Tom does when he's on stage, you need to make sure that you can actually walk in them, because otherwise there's nothing worse than stumbling out on stage and falling like that.
like I do. Fucking, I'm 6'1". I'd be fucking just towering over people. You have to see the back of the crowd. Of course. I mean, and who are they to question?
Exactly. It's one of those. I mean, what about noticeability type things? So we talked about tattoos. Do you think that tattoos actually blur and can affect your placing on stage?
Yeah, they will. They will. Whether a judge wants to admit it or not, they will do, because they won't if they're relatively small and don't take away from the physique too much. If you are absolutely fucking covered, it's going to be a problem, especially for a bikini girl, because it doesn't quite suit the look that they usually want to go for. If you're fucking smothered, it probably will affect your look somewhat. Yes, you can cover it with a relatively darker tan, but if you've got some ladies, it just makes it very, very difficult to differentiate the physique from other, comparing you, because they're like, oh well, yes, the shape's there and everything, and she's clearly in condition, but I can't actually quite see if she is in condition from this side, because she's got an entire piece all down one side of her body. Unfortunately, it just is the way that it is, and that's just part of bodybuilding. It is don't get me wrong, I think that things like that you've had put on your body and stuff like that, it's a bit of a weird one. It is a bit of a weird one, but I think, do you know what? Did you see the FitX show at the weekend just gone?
Yeah.
So there was 2 dudes on there who got marked down. and placed behind someone that they were both more muscular than and both more complete than as bodybuilders, because one of them had gyno that was fucking huge on both like sides, and then one of them had massive, huge, lumpy sight injections on the side of his glutes, like ventrogluteal from side shots. And
why do men pin their glutes? Why have they not learned not to pin their glutes yet?
Yeah. And that's another thing. That's a mistake that I put in the little box thing. So when you are consistently smashing your glutes with pins, I just like to pin there, it's easy. That's fucking brilliant, mate. Are you planning on competing? Yeah, okay, cool. So stop doing that right now. Like, I can't pin anywhere else. Okay, stop being a faggot then and just pin somewhere else, because you need to learn. Like, backload an insulin pin and stop being a pussy hole and just do it. Because you're going to end up turning around to the back and you're going to have the most mangled tennis balls sticking out the backside of your glutes. You're going to turn around to the front. You're going to have the most peeled, chiseled, ridiculous abs. Great shape, structure, line, symmetry. Awesome, fantastic. But now you've got golf balls either side of your butt.
Yep.
And it just looks terrible. And this dude had them like sort of more round towards the side. So he got VG. So rather than round on the actual glute, it's more sort of side of your hip and then low, and it just looked so bad. He was huge, he was jacked, he was like really good bodybuilder, but it was like, his coach had said like, he only likes doing his glutes. Well, then continue to place badly in shows, and that's that.
That's indicative of just somebody doing it themselves as well. So he's actually trying to turn around and actually do it into his glute med at that point, which is obviously going to make it even worse, because it's a hell of a lot more standoutish from that perspective.
Yeah, you don't. Especially if you're a super heavyweight bodybuilder, chances are you're probably going to be taking quite a lot of volume of gear, especially if you're using things like Strom, Prima Bowl and whatever, they're lower dosage drugs. You're going to be taking quite a good whack of them. You're going to be pumping in a lot of oil. Okay, so you need to evenly split that up over your tissue. Realistically, if you're doing these sites, rear delts, lats, biceps, outer head, top of your quads, anywhere, and rotate continuously. Stop jabbing singular spots. If you have to sit there with 5 insulin syringes every other day, split with 1 mil in each one, because that's what, if you have to do that, then you have to do that. Like, that's like better than going and getting one fat fucking big pin in a 5 mil barrel and going, fuck it, that'll do. Because if you split them evenly, at least you've got dispersion of oil over those spots, which means you're not going to lump up, you're not going to get scar tissue, and you're not going to get weird looking muscles. Don't get me wrong, I've seen site injections done in the delts that actually look really good when done properly. So done like side, rear, and just rotate it like small volumes and dotting it around, so that it just overall creates, it's not going to help like put too much tissue, but the scar tissue is not in a crazy area. Sure. Like it's more spread out, so it just looks like delt muscle, which is cool. It doesn't cause them any like moving issues or any like rotary issues or anything like that, so it looks fine. But when you continuously smash in one singular spot, you're going to build up. It's a needle going in and out of a site, of course it's going to get damage. So
absolutely. So there you are, that's another thing that we're going to do. Let's talk about PEDs on females then. What have you seen? Obviously, let's not kind of like venture into what's just happened, because that's been
that's been covered to the point of just like it's a little over the top, not over the top. What it was needed, I think that was definitely needed to go in, but now cease, like stop the line there. That guy's business is fucking gone. So like
I mean, this is the thing. This is what we're talking about learning from mistakes and that kind of thing. But these are mistakes that have gone possibly too far, that we need to kind of like not do anymore. But we're not going to go into that kind of detail.
No, I don't think it's needed.
No.
Okay, so PEDs for females. So what sort of topics, like discussions, were we talking about? Sort of my thoughts on things, because
you have literally just coached, haven't you? She's a young girl as well. She's very open about some of the things that she does use. Let's actually start.
No, her family still thinks she's natural, but hopefully they don't hear this podcast.
Okay, well, let's obviously like keep that on the down low then. We'll blurb out her name as well at that point.
Beep is natural,
Yeah, absolutely. But let's not take that particular individual then as a case study. But if a lady comes to you and basically says, right, come on then, Tom, I want to be the next IFBB pro in a physique class, what is the first thing that you talk about?
First thing would be just look at bloods. Like, you're gonna have to look at that before, especially if they've been doing anything previously. I'd be looking at that. Okay, but if I take someone who has already got a good level, let's say for example if you came to me and you were like, oh Tom, I want to be competing in women's physique, what do you compete in normally? Do you compete in
it's the first year that I'd be doing physique. I would normally be doing athletic.
So you're up from like train figure you're at, or are you at physique, women's physique now?
I'd be at women's physique now.
Okay, cool. All right. So just going into it, cool. That's fine.
Yeah,
So your physique from here, I would look at what you're doing in your off seasons. We would start looking at different compounds that we can use for a good chunk of the year, because quite frankly, doing a cycles on and off like routinely it's going to work. It's going to build tissue, but we're exposing your body to androgens for bigger chunks of time over the space of the year. So we need to start looking at what other compounds that we can use performance enhancing wise, and timing specific sections of the year around growing you. So if I said to you, do you know what, you can do it, the shape's there, the lines there, symmetry's there, but you need to put on another 15 pounds of muscle tissue for you to be legitimately walk on stage, well, that's hers, like straight off the bat sort of thing. If you needed to do that, that in itself is a fucking monumental task for a woman.
Sure.
And to do it without PEDs is impossible, but to do it in a safe manner and controlled manner while still keeping femininity is certainly doable. So we would start looking at what compounds we can actually use for a long duration to get you to the level of development needed. So we'd look at growth hormones, and small dosage of that, 1 unit daily, perhaps. We'd look at insulin. Now, immediately girls go, oh, you're getting fucking girls taking insulin, they don't need it. And I'm like, okay, right, hang on. It's the most anabolic hormone in the fucking body, all right? Mm-hmm. It has no virilization effects whatsoever. You're not going to virilize from it. You're not going to get a jaw or a massive clit or hair growth or fucking any croaky voice, because it's insulin. It's not androgenic. It just has anabolic properties. Mm-hmm. So if we started utilizing that alongside growth hormone, we're going to get a very nice combination of drugs going in there to help build some tissue. It's a perfectly fine hormone for a woman to use. But that being said, okay, people obviously usually go, oh no, well, it's too much and whatever. That's one thing I think people do eventually over the next few years need to get past, is they need to get past this whole Anavar is the only safe thing to take, because it's perfectly fine for women to take it, and I'm not saying it's not, but there are other tools that you can use in your toolbox, rather than continuously going back to ye old faithful and just repeatedly doing it, because at the end of the day, it's still an androgen. It still has effects. I know I'm not saying people can't use it, but I'm saying it's not always the first thing that you can start divulging into a program. So then once you've looked at that, once you've looked at growth hormone and insulin as a combination, you could also look at things like injectable L-carnitine as well. That's useful too. And
you would only use that in a fat burning state though, right?
Yeah, but you can utilize it around with insulin usage as well,
right,
for help with transportation. So you can utilize it around like pre and post sort of nutrient partitioning sort of stuff. It's really kind of useful with it. And then what you would look at is what's the lowest sort of amount you can run for a period of time of different compounds in a specific manner, so that you're not just using like literally just using androgens. You want to have some sort of a balance across the board. So if you can use, still steroids, but it's not just like straight up like DHT derivatives. So like your Anavars, your Masterons, your Primus, whatever. If you can utilize things like NPP, like nandrolone phenylpropionate, because it comes at you can get it made up like wherever you want it to made up if you know a lab, but it comes as 100 mg per mil normally. So you could be taking 0.1 mil of that 3 times a week. That's 30 milligrams. Now, when people take Anavar, they take 10 mgs a day. That's 70 mgs a week. If you're taking 30 mgs of NPP a week, that's less total milligram dosage over the course of a week. And you're going to see some sort of conversion over to estrogen to some degree. And you're also going to see more of a positive benefit in terms of anabolic growth rather than just straight up androgenic effects. So as a compound for women, it's really useful. Even and this is the thing, even testosterone, not at that dose, it's not 30 mg a week, but 4 or 6 milligrams per week when dosed like that will still have positive effects in terms of growth. But it won't, again, I'm talking 4 milligrams a week. I'm not talking like a bloke getting a 250 mg shot and going, here we fucking go. I'm talking 4. Now people are like, well, how do you get that dosage? And you can get it made up by a lab. So when a lab makes it up, there's a lab that we have that we know called I think Resolute Farm, and they make 8 milligram per mil testosterone.
All right, okay.
So you can literally just dose in 0.25 2 times a week is your full mg dosage there, just to steady the levels up. But yeah, that's a compound that's used. People are turn their nose up at it and stuff and go, oh, well, women shouldn't take test. I'm like, you're literally taking a derivative of testosterone when you take Anavar. It's literally testosterone converted into a format and a hormone that's very similar. I
think this is one of the things that people do not understand about PEDs, because every single DHT PED that they actually take is a derivative of testosterone.
Yeah,
so men as well, they don't understand the compounds. They're like, I'll have this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, so you're basically taking 4 derivatives of testosterone.
Well, this is I mean, the one thing that you get is fucking idiots. And one of my buddies, a guy I know, let's call him that, who is involved with selling creatine, says to me that people will go, oh well, I only want words right, Thomas, creatine cypionate, right? Okay. Yeah, people know what I'm on about, right? Yeah. And then he'll go, I've got creatine enanthate, and they go, oh no, I only get on with cypionate. And he goes, it's literally the same fucking thing, mate. Yeah. And he goes, and they're like, no, I know it's definitely not. And it's like, but it is. So, I mean, saw Jordan Peters talking about it the other day. He literally posted it on his story, and he goes, esters don't fucking matter. He goes, it's like eating a cake with a fork or with a spoon. It's still fucking cake. Sure. Like, you know, it's the same thing. Do
you not find that esters are different for women though?
No, because you want to use shorter esters so that they're in and out faster, so that you can alleviate potential sides. So esters don't matter too much, but like if that's why I would always suggest a shorter ester or an oral steroid, because it's in and out quickly. So if I was like, okay, cool, Vicky, take I want you on 10 mgs of MPP 3 times a week, and you take it for 3 weeks and go, bloody hell, Tom, I'm getting hair down my forearm. I don't really like this. I'm like, oh, stop. So stop that, and then it's out quicker. Yep. So that's why it would be useful in that situation. Like that's when the nuances and the differences matter. For a bloke, it don't fucking matter. It just doesn't matter at all. That's why if we were using testosterone, like maybe a propionate or something, of like 2 milligrams twice a week or 1 milligram 3 times a week, alongside the NPP with growth hormone and insulin, that together, you're taking total milligram dosage less than you would in a week of the whole 10 mg bar daily sort of thing that some people, you know, it's just very common, isn't it? Like that, compared with that sort of stack, you're going to see more muscle tissue gain and less side effects, and it's just going to be a genuinely better setup for you growing. Yeah, it might cost a bit more with the growth hormone, insulin, and other compounds in there, but at the end of the day, if your goal, as the question was, is to move up to women's physique, look at a safe mannerism of moving up rather than, you know, I mean, any method's safe as long as it works for you, but just be mindful of what is the ideal scenario rather than, you know, the convenient scenario.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the lady, I don't know if you will beep out her name, but the lady we spoke about before doesn't do anything in her off season because her genetics are too good, basically. Yeah, she just grow too quickly. She's fucking big female bodybuilder in like a year if we did. So we don't use anything off season. She just uses for preps. We've done one off season. We've done like one off season cycle where it was like got to the end of a mini cut and I was like, oh, let's rebound out of it with 6 weeks of this. I was like, we basically just didn't fucking need that. That's kind of pointless. Like, we'll got to the end of it. But she doesn't need it. Like, just preps because she'll just grow into the show anyway.
For sure. I mean, this is the other thing. I was talking about it with a good friend of mine called Luke Miller, and people underestimate the anabolism of food. So when they come off of prep and they want to actually go into a growing off season, all of a sudden they just automatically think, oh yeah, I can't wait to get the tren on board, you know, because the tren is going to do this, the tren is going to do that. And they don't even, it really doesn't.
Just control your food on the way out of a show. If you can control it on the way out of a prep and work your way up over time, you're going to grow. Like, you're going to fucking grow. Like, you just take your time, very slow, very steady, work it up. And if you're able to work it up to like, you know, to a good acceptable amount over a control period, you're going to see far more out of that than you are out of some crazy fucking wheel-ass cycle. Don't get me wrong, there's a time to utilize things like that when you're very insulin sensitive after a show. Like, utilizing insulin in a prime position is very smart thing to do if you're a clever bodybuilder, and like know what you're doing, because if you fuck around with insulin, you're just going to fucking end up with all sorts of problems. See that all the time.
So that's probably another mistake that you probably made, is binging post-show or doing something else like that post-show.
Yeah, fucking hell, mate. Yeah, absolutely. I put on 40 pounds in 4 weeks.
Fuck, really?
Yeah. Well, I'm 6'1", so it translates a bit different, but like, yeah, that was really silly because I started like, here we go. I started taking test NPP and Anadrol straight after a show. I was like, I'm going to get the most out of this. Yeah. Holy shit. I was so fucking strong and so fucking bloated. It was unbelievable. I used to go into the gym. I used to do 1 set on dumbbell chest press, that warm up, and be like, just fucking pumped to shit, like so blown out. Then I'd do like my heavy set and just be every single week for this 4 weeks. I was like fucking animal. I used to do side raises with like 30s, just like clean as anything. Yeah, I was like the Anadrol gave me superpowers at that point. Like, it was fucking stupid. I benched 200. I was just this tank walking around, and then I dropped it all out, and it's like here today, gone tomorrow strength. Like,
sure, yeah.
He was a fucking idiot. I was so fucking fat and soft at the end of that. I was fucking looked like a right mess.
I was going to say like a water buffalo as well.
Oh, just like
rushing around.
Galore. My fucking mates at work didn't recognize me when I turned up one day. Like, Tom, fucking hell, what's happened to you? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just putting on his weight. Right, dickhead.
Oh, that's so funny, so funny. So yeah, obviously, guys, don't do that. Don't turn into the bloke god the minute you walk off stage. I did want to ask your opinion on one thing, actually, which is a question that I ask quite a lot of people because I just like the variances of opinions. Quote unquote cheat meals. When you have cheat meals in the off season, do you actually advocate cheat meals as in like, you know, the full on?
Especially like I would usually utilize them like the day before, like a weaker body part to just increase your actual caloric sort of intake for the day before, so that you're running on a bit more the next day. So if you've got like weak legs or something, just do a cheat meal the night before so that you're actually utilizing a little bit more glycogen, maybe a bit more sodium, so maybe some more intramuscular triglycerides whilst you train, so you can probably hit a better PB. Nice and fueled up for it. Good way to use it. Pre-contest, don't really do them with anyone ever. I'd rather, like, occasionally if someone's coming in way too quickly, like I'll do it. Like for example, Sarah did some going into hers. Johnny didn't need to do any when I prepped. Ross did one like once every 3 weeks, maybe, if he needed it. Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn, she's dieting at the moment. She hasn't done one yet. She's dieted for like 17 weeks or something.
Caitlyn looks really good. Caitlyn's very
getting there. She because she's so young, her level of conditioning, it's very difficult to get dry and hard because she's not got muscle maturity. She has big muscles and she has good shape and frame and structure, but the density to that tissue isn't quite there yet because just being so young. So it will, like, give her 1 more year, fucking it, or 2. Holy shit, she's just going to be unstoppable. Like as a figure girl, like that it is there. We're going to go into an off season. We're going to keep her a bit tighter in an off season as well. Get up to like, because she went up to 140 this time. She's going to go up to like 125, 126. We'll just hold her there. And then when we dial back in again for a show later down the line, she's only going to have to take off 15, 16 pounds rather than the absolute slogfest of a prep that she's had to do this time. So that's one. Like in regards to cheaters, I think but like you can be used, but just like, you know, there are other ways to do it. I mean, if you don't want to do them, if you like lose your plot every time you eat one and just start binging, then maybe it's not great, you know. So.
No, exactly. I mean, I think it's person dependent as well at the same time, isn't it? Have you found just an interesting one with Caitlyn, really, because obviously she went so high in the off season, being such a small individual as well. Yeah. Have you found that she's had to like really slog and go quite low in terms of her calories?
Holy shit, yes. Holy shit. Yeah, we will never do this ever again. I spoke to her about this. I literally said to her, I said, we will never ever go that far again, but you had to do it once to get to the level of development that was required to be figure at IFBB. Like, she wants to do it before she's 21. That's her goal. Like, it's set in stone. Like, that's her goal. She wants to turn pro before 21. She's 19. Right. Like, she literally says, she was like, that's like set in stone for her. Like, she has to do it. She wants to. It's everything is directed at that. And anyone that motivated, I was like, look, we can do it, but like, you're going to have to fucking take the piss with how big you get before. It will be a horrible prep. And it is, she's got 2 weeks left. It is been a horrible prep, but she will never have to go this hard ever again. Not with fat burners, not with cardio, not with diet. And, you know, and I got some I've had some criticism from some fucking nobody on about her prep, like messaging me going, oh, it's fucking way too much. She's digging too hard. I'm like, right, have you been there from day one? Have you started at day one with her? Do you coach her? Okay. Have you got to where you are now with her? No, you haven't. So shut up, because you haven't watched any of what's happened. Like, it's just some fucking nobody who's gone on about it and said, like, because Caitlyn posted like what she was doing and diet wise and cardio and all that sort of shit on the forum and subs on the forum, and she's like had shit off some absolute fucking nobody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, until you're somebody in the industry, like, and like a higher, do you know what I mean? Like a higher end sort of coach. Yeah. Like, I don't want to hear that crap. Like, the thing is that
people just don't fucking understand it. Do you know what I mean? I've got a Bikini Girl at the moment who, unfortunately, in an off season, she just went far too fucking high. And at the moment, she's really going to have to dig. You know, she's got 2 weeks left as well. Her first prep was a fucking breeze, an absolute fucking breeze. But in the off season, because it was almost like, oh, YOLO, you know, and that kind of thing, and various other things happen. Right now, it's like I've said to her, you are going to have to fucking dig, and it is going to be hard because of these discrepancies of being a natural as well. It's a little bit different. You can't just use ancillaries like this. But yeah, I mean, people will get criticized, as people will say, you know, doing 2 hours of cardio. I mean, my girl.
Well, this is the thing. But if I had this criticism from someone who actually gave constructive advice afterwards, or and well, even then they shouldn't really. But like, if someone had come to me and gone, "Oh, bloody hell, that's a bit hard. How come you've had to do that? Or why is that?" Like, fucking Boston Lloyd asked me about it. Like, you know, yeah, he's taking the piss with his drugs and stuff. And I was like, look, like, everything that's going on has been as safe as we've had as we possibly can. We pay attention to health. This is not something that I just flick at people willy-nilly and go, off you go, that'll work. You know, it's a case of monitoring, and if it's needed, it'll have to be done, unfortunately. But like you know, it'll never be that hard ever again. And it's probably, I said to her as well the other day, I said, that's the hardest I've ever had to push a woman ever in my entire bodybuilding career ever.
And how does that actually make you feel emotionally?
Shit,
as well?
really shit.
It's awful, right?
Like, fucking dreadful, because you're looking at it and going, what the fuck? Like, I wouldn't fucking do this myself. Like, well, no, I would. I've done it myself. But like, I wouldn't do it normally because it's just not a normal situation. But look, the thing is as well with her, she's an absolute tank. Like, she just commits and gets it done. No one else really would have been able to slog that out for that long. But she just gets up, goes, oh, I'm like, how you feeling, Ken? How's everything? Oh yeah, I'm a bit tired, but my energy's there when I train, so that's all that matters. And I'm like, cool, let's just keep going then, mate. Like, you know, it's not optimal, but it is what it is. Bodybuilding is fucking rough sometimes. So.
Yeah, it's hardcore, man. It really, really is hardcore. I mean, I'm exactly the same. When I look at some of the protocols that I put together when we've got to push somebody to really dig, and you're just like, fuck, I really don't like it. But then you want everyday check-ins and making sure that they're on point with it being 2 weeks
That's
out.
the thing. Every day we do everyday check-ins. We talk on the phone at least twice a week. We go through whatever we need to go through. She's actually been, luckily, we're backing off now, so she's not doing cardio anymore. We backed off on fat burners down now. They're being taken slowly, tapered down. Food is creeping its way back up ever so steadily. I just don't want to jump it, but steadily working our way back up. Her step count is going down because it finished at 20,000 steps a day, and it's now going down. Yeah, and now it's going down to 15,500 or something today. So it's now like, you know, so it's like it's gone from like 18, 17, 16, hold it, okay, 15. It's like I'm just backing her off because it was a block. It wasn't let's just do this until you fucking get there. It was like, this is gonna suck. Okay, now chill out. So
that's the best way to do it, you know. Have the hard bit and then kind of like grow.
And then alleviate the tension and the stress at the end. Wash that fatigue off and get rid of that stress. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So I know that we are coming up against time here, and it's been a really fun podcast. So we're just going to do some quick fire questions, which is obviously what we talked about on WhatsApp.
Ooh, okay.
Are you ready? Getting the neck crick on.
Let's go.
Right. Okay. So quick fire question number one: Intra workout, crispy fried chicken. Is it a priority?
Oh, obviously, especially if you're off season, maxed out on all of your food. If you can do it, you gotta do it. Yeah. No, I joke about it. When someone's fucking dieting and they're not in condition on stage, and they've just not done what they needed to do to get in shape, I'm like, oh, he mistook I say, oh, the coach wrote chicken and he took it for fried chicken. So, you know, like, just take the piss.
Yeah, coffee. You can have coffee, but not like the mocha chocolate latte.
Yeah, with fucking whipped cream and hot chocolate.
Oh, mate, don't even start. I've had those as well.
Green vegetable. Oh, right, avocado.
Yeah. What are you doing?
You doing?
All right, next one then. Into work at KFC. That was it. How much trend have you seen somebody take?
Yeah. Well, here we go. The worst I've ever known was a dude who turned pro in the States. I didn't know him particularly, but well, I spoke to him a couple of times here and there, but like I'd seen it and someone had spoken about it and been talked about. 600 milligrams a day.
A day?
Yeah, a day, yeah. Because he used to, so he had amazing genetics. He started his prep at like 20 weeks out with this amazing commitment, but he was the most like scatterbrained, like party, haphazard, like fucking like lunatic guy, like drug binges, like then back to bodybuilding, committed. It was like one or the other. Like he couldn't quite get like one for a period of time and then just do what he wanted in his off season. It was like halfway through his prep, he would lose it. So what he would do, he'd be dieting for like 3-4 weeks at a time, like oh my God, you're coming in shape already. Then he'd go on like cocaine, hookah and beer binges, like do that with like junk food and shit for like 3 days, like go to Vegas, like spend loads of money, like just go mental for like like 3 days, then come back, and then to try and pick up his where he had left off, he used to just smash in 600 megs of tren a day for like 3 weeks to try and like catch up. And he would obviously catch up because he would respond like a fucking mutant to this. Then he would go mad again, do these binges, and then he would just do it to just catch himself up. Fucking idiot, like absolute mental case, yeah. But,
yeah, that's a complete mental case. Okay, that's interesting.
But he used to get, well, the other thing he did was like, because he used to make and sell steroids, but what he did was like, he got halo testing, the raw powder, and he used to get a spoonful of that and then get a pint of water and just drink a spoonful. Like he didn't weigh it. Like it was like probably like 100 milligrams, 150 milligrams of halo testing, which is like blokes take like 30 normally, right?
Yeah,
he would just do that and then like drink it because he had so much of this raw powder in his lab. He would just like, mad.
Right, guys. So yeah, that's another mistake. Don't do that.
Don't fucking do that.
Don't fucking do that. Okay, next one then. Rick from Strom. Is his mohawk as anabolic as he makes it out to be? Or is it just an optical illusion?
I think it's an optical illusion, but it's also anabolic. That's the trick. That's what he's managed to create over these years. Like I looked one day, like we had breakfast the other day together before the show, and I was like looking, and sometimes it just like glimmers, and then it comes back, and it's like, oh, it's like sometimes it's perfectly cut, sometimes it's not. Was it even there to begin with? Who knows?
Yeah, that is the tagline for this one, by the way. Okay, last one. Glute kickbacks for female physique athletes. How high should the kick be compared to ballerinas?
Oh, if you don't touch your head, are you even trying? And if it doesn't come back round, like that's not full contraction as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I love it. This is so funny. Right, okay, so that is the end of the quick fire questions. And again, the on-the-spot question that I ask every single person who is in the hot seat before we finalize off the podcast. If you could choose 3 people to have dinner with, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh God, living or dead? Oh, that's a rough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know who would be really cool? Like Luke Sando would be really cool to just sit down with and just like, do you know what I mean? That would be cool. I never met the dude properly. I met him once at like Body Power, shook his hand, got a photo of that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he would be fucking hilarious. Who else?
He is hilarious actually because he took the piss out of my size.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Oh,
he
did
came
he?
down one day and was just like, "Oh, I need to come down to your level." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, so him. Do you know Steve? Is it Steve Irwin, the guy who was the
guy who got killed by the stingray?
Sorry.
He got killed by the stingray.
So him, he would be cool. Like I used to watch his stuff as a kid. I think he'd just be. Imagine him and Luke at a table together already. Like fucking hell, you've got a right chaotic, like over exaggerated. Then you've got like really like talk with your hands sort of guy. Then you've got sarcastic as fuck Luke, like quick wit humor. Yeah. And then one more person to put in there. I don't know. Like I think you need someone to like level it down with a bit of seriousness. But like, what about like David Attenborough? Like him and Steve are gonna get on. Like Luke's gonna be like fucking glued to listening to this old guy. Like it's just that's gonna be a really cool sit down table, isn't it? So,
it would. Would you even partake in the conversation though, or would you?
I'd just fucking shut up and listen. I'd just shut up and listen. I'd record it as well. Like I'd shut up and listen for like the full hour. Like yeah. Absolutely.
That would be amazing. Right, Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving up your time. I know that you are insanely busy. Where can people find you and follow you and admire you?
So the best place is just either Facebook. I'm Thomas Hames on Facebook, or I don't really use it that much, but like Instagram is Evolution Training. Cool. So just find me on there. If you're interested in sort of coaching or consultation calls or anything like that, feel free to drop me a message. All of my details regarding like my rates and all of that stuff is all on my website. If you don't want to work with me, or you can't afford me or whatever, then I have 2 other coaches who work on my team. So I have Sarah, who actually works as a coach for Team Evolution now, or my brother Ben. So Ben is entry-level people, sort of learning about the gym and getting into fitness and stuff. Sarah is more sort of mid-range, wanting to get a bit better. You've already been in for a few years, and I'm very much the higher end, sort of want to compete, want to go for higher status shows. And that's how we do it.
Perfect and wonderful. And I will put all of the links underneath the podcast as usual, guys. So as per usual, if you like the podcast, like, share, subscribe, tag, all of the rest of it, you may win a t-shirt. So keep on listening for the next episode. I've got another one coming up this next week. So obviously keep your ears out for that. Much love as always, and I shall see you soon. Tom, thanks a lot, my man. See you later.